Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about the brand new Dungeons and Dragons question mark that is Minsc and Boo's Journal of Villainy. All right, so a lot of different channels, YouTube commentators are talking about this right away, and there's a big question mark. There's an event there's a Dungeons and Dragons event that happened, right? And the event is the stealth drop of Minsc and Boo's Journal of Villainy. Excuse me. Now, when it comes to, Minsc and Boo's Journal of Villainy, there's a big question of what it is and what just happened. Okay. All right. So let's talk it through. Let me explain what this thing is. Let me explain the facts on the ground, and then let's discuss what it is, because I think there's a big question mark on what exactly Minsc and Boo's Journal of Villainy is. All right. So basically, yesterday there was a drop of Minsc and Boo's Journal of Villainy released by Wizards of the Coast. Okay, so that right there, that means this, and I'm going to say book, but I think book is in question, is in air quote book, right? And I think it's questionable if this is even a book, right? And the reason why we're talking today is there was a lot of news. There was a lot of, I think, like CBR and some of the other news outlets that cover Dungeons and Dragons news. And by the way, like Forbes covers Dungeons and Dragons news nowadays. So basically, there was this question that said, did there were some headlines that were like, Dungeons and Dragons just stealth dropped a new book, right? So first of all, if you say, hey, Dungeons and Dragons just stealth dropped a new book, I'm going to get excited, right? Because, I love Dungeons and Dragons books, right? Well, here's the case. I don't think Dungeons and Dragons stealth dropped a book yesterday, okay? And that's the point of this video today, is let's discuss exactly what happened. All right, so here's what happened. Wizards of the Coast went over to DM's Guild and dropped 156 pages of content. And that content is called Minsc and Boo's Journal of Villainy, right? And so, did they stealth drop a book? No. So first of all, everything I just said, those are the facts, okay? Wizards of the Coast went over to DM's Guild, and they dropped 156 pages of content called Minsc and Boo's Journal of Villainy on DM's Guild. Oh, and by the way, all proceeds for this air quotes book, right, go to Extra Life, which is a charity. By the way, I'm not even going to touch the charity part of this because it would just overflow this video. That's its own video, which I think I may do at some point. All right, so that's what happened. Okay, now let's talk about what this means for the D&D community. Okay, so first of all, biggest question for us is this official? Is this canon, right? Here's the answer. Yes, this is 100% official, okay? No, this is not canon, right? In my humble opinion. All right, so let's walk through that. And also, I'm very happy that this exists because I keep telling people there's a difference between official and canon, right? It is my opinion that Dungeons and Dragons, Wizards of the Coast, Dungeons and Dragons design team actually controls what's official. I don't think they control what's canon. I think the D&D community determines what's canon and what's not canon. Okay, but Dungeons and Dragons definitely determines what's official, and this is one of the best examples I've ever seen in my life of this is very official and very not canon. Right, so let's walk it through. All right, so why would this not be canon, and why would it be official? Well, first of all, is it official? The answer is yes, because it's Wizards of the Coast. There is even a question mark on if it's even official, right? And what would be the question? By the way, let's just acknowledge now, this Minsc and Boo's Journal of Villainy is very, very weird. It is a strange, shocking object, right? It is very, very unusual. It is just a very unusual product, okay? All right. So, first of all, why would there be a question mark around? I think the answer is yes, that it is official. But even that, there are threats to it being official, right? What's the threat to it being official? DM's Guild, right? First of all, as I understood it, the design team works hard, puts out a book. I go to my FLGS, puts out a physical book, right? Goes out to an FLGS, right? And goes to an FLGS. And I go out to an FLGS, I buy it, and then I put it on my shelf. That's part of my collection. That's D&D to me, right? I'll tell you right now, I do not care one iota. I don't give two rat's tails for anything Dungeons & Dragons makes digitally, right? And the reason why is I don't know what it's going to be 4 months from now, right? Like, so D&D Beyond is a perfect example of this. They used to make Unearthed Arcana. They would put Unearthed Arcana on D&D Beyond. That ain't the case anymore, right? So when I signed up and they were doing Unearthed Arcana, like that, I have one vision of the product, and then suddenly the product changes. And here's the issue. On any digital content, it's not Wizards of the Coast's fault, but if you ever buy any digital content, the owners of that the creators of that content can change that content, right? So the product that you buy, right, like 6 months ago, may not even have the same words, same images, or same even format as it did before, right? Or be in the same place. I got zero interest in buying any digital content from Wizards of the Coast, right? On Dungeons & Dragons or anything else, right? Whereas if I buy a book, that book goes on my shelf. I know what's in it, right? Like, it ain't ever going to change, right? Like, so yeah. So that, that's important, right? So one, that's a big strike against Minsc and Boo's product, right? Because I don't know what it is, right? I don't have any confidence that Minsc and Boo's Journal of Villainy will have the same words in it 6 months from now, right? Like, so I don't want some morphing, like, weird, I have no interest in digital content from Wizards of the Coast. That's my take, okay? All right. So, but here's the other issue. So basically, design team works hard. They release a book. It goes to the FLGS. I buy it. I put it on my bookshelf, right? What is DM's Guild? DM's Guild is a dump ground for amateurs. It's not supposed to be for the Wizards of the Coast design team, right? There should not be official content on DM's Guild. DM's Guild is scrubland, right? Like, it's just like, I don't even bother going to DM's Guild because, and here's the reason why I never go to DM's Guild, right? First of all, I'm trying to build my 5th edition collection, right? I don't even own all the core, I don't even own every hardback 5th edition book. Why on earth would I mess around and buy a single thing off of DM's Guild when I don't even have the best stuff that's been created for 5th edition, right? And so that's the issue, is like, I feel like DM's Guild is a playground. You're not supposed to find official content on DM's Guild, right? Like, now, and honestly, so what is DM's Guild? In my opinion, DM's Guild is an entire area for indiscriminate dungeon masters who allow almost any nonsense at their table, right? Like, you're literally bringing in amateur content into your game, which I think is just ridiculous. It's just not... It's not wise from any perspective. And if you think I'm wrong, like, just look at the number of products there. There's like 5,000 products there. And if you don't think there's some ridiculous content on there, you just got to go over to XP3, and he literally does entire videos, just ruthlessly mocking content that's been put up on DM's Guild because it's so unprofessional, so unbalanced, and so ridiculous, right? So I am a little sad to see Wizards of the Coast putting content on DM's Guild. That's really weird, right? Because that means, like, so Wizards of the Coast is saying, they're putting their brand name on it, right? So that makes it official. It is absolutely not canon, right? And we know that from what Jeremy Crawford said, because Jeremy Crawford is saying what's canon in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition is every Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition hardback, right? Which would extend to all the core books, all the utility books, all the adventures, right? And that's pretty much it, right? That covers everything. Now, the thing it's canon. Jeremy Crawford's statement on canon, of course, is very strange, right? Because what do you do with the box sets, right? It's pretty ridiculous to think. So, by what he's saying, that would mean that Lost Minds of Phandelver is not canon. Essentials Kit is not canon. They clearly are, right? But the moment you open the door to the box sets, you hit Rick and Morty, right? And if you're saying Rick and Morty is canon in Dungeons and Dragons, that opens up a whole, like, literally worlds and worlds and worlds of content that are connected to Dungeons and Dragons through Rick and Morty, right? By the way, if you're not aware, Rick and Morty was in Space Jam 2. Space Jam 2 is literally like 50 plus different intellectual properties, including Harry Potter and, like Mad Max. And, so the second it is determined that Lost Minds of Phandelver is canon, then that means the Rick and Morty box set is canon. And that means that there's a canon connection between Dungeons and Dragons and Harry Potter. Like, it's incredibly weird, right? So here's the the drive point on this video. This Minsc and Boo's Journal of Villainy, it is official content. I do not think it should have been released on DM's Guild. I think that was a big mistake. I think that puts a lot of confusion on what DM's Guild is and on what actual official content is, right? And then, in addition to that, you get to it is absolutely not canon because it's not a hardback book the way Jeremy Crawford said, and the community is certainly not crying out that it's canon yet, right? So I don't think it's canon. So what are our actions based on what it is, right? So one, I think every Dungeon Master should feel exactly zero pressure to allow any player to bring any of this content into their game, right? I feel very strongly that Dungeon Masters are under pressure, right, to allow, to make sure that the players at their table, when they walk into the FLGS, if it's got Dungeons and Dragons on the spine and it's official Dungeons and Dragons content, right, brand new book. Perfect example would be Wild Beyond the Witchlight. When your player walks into the FLGS, they need to be permissioned to buy whatever Dungeons and Dragons product just came out, right? And I really feel like it's a harm to players, to dungeon players, if they have to go into an FLGS and they're not allowed by their dungeon master to buy whatever canon book is on the shelf, right? And I know people are like, well, it's an adventure. I don't want them to see it. Well, there's races in there, right? So if they want to play Aragon, they need the stats for that, okay? And they need to be able to interact and go back to those stats whenever they need to, right? I don't like this idea that Dungeons and Dragons content is doled out to dungeon players by dungeon masters through an eyedropper. It's a bad idea, right? But we want the hobby to grow. We want Wizards of the Coast to be able to make money, and depermissioning, right? Disallowing these people to and disallowing players to buy these is a very bad idea. However, I do think that because of the strangeness of this product, no dungeon master needs to feel any pressure whatsoever to allow this for any player, right? And I also don't really think that, I know this sounds strange, I don't think dungeon masters should buy this. And the reason why is I think it is horrendously bad precedent to encourage Wizards of the Coast to release official product through DM's Guild, right? This is like, saying Cartier should be holding, should be selling, the Hope Diamond at a garage sale out front of their, business. It's bad on 55 different levels. So I think there's a lot of problems with this product. And so I think it's official. It's not canon. No dungeon master should feel any pressure to allow their players to request to bring this in. If they want, players should be allowed to ask, but dungeon masters should be able to say, no, I'm not bringing that nonsense in. And I think that's totally okay. I think that's no problem because it's not canon, right? It's just we don't even really know what it is, right? So that is my take on exactly what Minsc and Boo's Journal of Villainy is. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think this product is. Do you think this is canon? If so, why? And then also, what do you think of the idea of, what do you think of the idea of Minsc and Boo being stealth dropped the way it was? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below, and please consider liking and subscribing.